Hi, welcome back to another segment of Talking About Success. My guest tonight is Brian Hennessey, and he's the author of a really good book called the Due Diligence Handbook for Commercial Real Estate, which is available on Amazon.com. He's been in commercial real estate for over 30 years. That's a lot of years. You know what you're talking
Yes,
about
it
by
is.
now, I think. He's purchased and conducted due diligence on over 9 million square feet of property for investment properties, and he teaches investors his proven system of how to properly conduct due diligence while purchasing real estate investments faster, easier, more efficiently, so you're less likely to miss something. And I remember when we were talking off stage, this idea of like, how did you miss that? We'll talk about that in just a minute.
Sure.
It became a very important part of your beginning history. So what put you on this mission to want to help people, teach them how to do due diligence on investment properties, commercial investment properties?
Well, what happened is after 18 years of being a commercial real estate broker, a client of mine asked me to come to work for him as his vice president of acquisitions and dispositions. He had started a commercial real estate investment firm a couple of years before and had acquired a number of office properties. So when I first got over there, nobody handed me a book on how to properly conduct due diligence when buying commercial properties. Even though I had been a broker for many years, I still wasn't really prepared for the amount of information that I'd be handling when purchasing large commercial properties.
Mm-hmm.
Once I got into the office there and we started working on some large transactions, I was buying a large property from a vice president of a professional commercial investment firm who quickly figured out that I was a beginner in buying large office properties and basically took me to school. And I was totally stressed as the due diligence clock was ticking away, and as the days dwindled down, the heat got turned up, and the real estate attorney, accountant, the investor were all demanding the information that they were requesting. And this went on for weeks. Sleepless nights, dealing with all the tensions of the next day. I couldn't wait for the end of the escrow period so I could finally get rid of all the anxiety and tensions I was feeling. And about a month after that, all the questions started coming up about the escrow that we were in. Documents were missing, certain financials of the tenants weren't received. The how did we miss this one question is one I always dreaded whenever an item of errors and omissions would come up, as if I was supposed to know all this. Then one day I came into the office and I was told that the investor I worked for wanted to see me. So as I went into his office, he asked me to sit down as he closed the door. And after some silence, he said, "How did you miss all this critical info?" The vast majority of investors and commercial real estate professionals barely scratch the surface when conducting due diligence, mainly because they don't know what they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the same way until I had to come up with a system and have all the right questions to ask, the checklists, and all those things that you need to do. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel every time I purchased something. So I wanted to make sure that the process was easier, less stressful, and I felt much more confident so I could make an informed and intelligent decision to move forward with an investment or not. By having and adhering to a proven system when conducting due diligence, you can do it faster, easier, more efficiently, and you're less likely to miss something. Most investors will just typically do a physical inspection, review some financials, the leases, and they're under so much pressure to get the transaction completed because if they're not a full-time investor and they don't have the time, they're usually doing it on the side, and they have to go out and get financing, they have to get the appraisal done. There's a lot of steps to getting a property transaction closed. So they're really, by the time they get towards the end of the close of the transaction, they just want to get it over with. A lot of things can slip through the cracks, which they do, and they end up missing a lot of things. And the issue is that once you close escrow on the property, you not only buy the property, you get all the problems that come with them. So that's why it's so important to learn how to do this properly, because once you do that, you're going to feel much more comfortable and confident by making an informed and intelligent decision whether to move forward or not.
So given all this, is there one piece of advice you would give to investors or thinking about doing this buying of an investment property?
I think the most important thing that I could say to an investor is assume nothing. If you're going to assume anything, you assume there's a lot of problems and issues to be discovered, and that you should really learn how to investigate the property that you're looking to invest in, because there's hard-earned money going into it, and it's not something to be taken lightly, because a lot of things can go wrong if you're not looking for these issues. The seller is not coming to you when you get into escrow with a list of problems and issues that you should be aware of. They're hoping that you overlook those and move on to close, so they don't have to deal with them anymore.
Mm-hmm. So your book's available on Amazon.com.
It is.
And if someone wants to get a hold of you personally to do speaking, consulting, how do they reach you?
Best way to reach me would be to go on the website. My website is impactcoachingsystems.com.
Impactcoachingsystems.com.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm sure you've saved a lot of people a lot of heartache and a lot of financial loss and a lot of sleepless nights that you had that they don't have to have now. So thank you for all that work you're doing to help people. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Jack.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
My pleasure. Okay, make sure to go to his website, check it out, get his book. So if you're going to go through this process, you want to make sure you do it intelligently and confidently, and that you can keep yourself intact in the process. A lot of opportunity, but also a lot of danger. Don't fall in the river. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this message.